Happy High Holy Month, don't you know? And happy High Holy Week as we get closer and closer to St. Pat's. Today is number 12 of 17 videos I am recording to celebrate the High Holy Month, Holy Week, St. Patrick's Day, and to honor my mother and her memory and our family's Irish heritage. Today is the 25th anniversary of my mother's passing. I cannot imagine where the time has gone, and yet in so many ways it seems like it was just yesterday because I can remember every single moment of the 24 hours in which she passed. The interesting thing for me is that my mom and I were not close. We were kind of like oil and water. She was the 8th of 8 children in her family, 6 of them girls and 2 of them boys. So by the time she came along, my grandmother had plenty of help in the kitchen with her 5 older sisters. So they sent her outside to work with the men on the farm. And it served her well, as when she came into the city and started her own life, she went to work in the banking industry and eventually became the head of property management for Bank of New York, which then became Key Bank. And my mother had no problem pulling onto construction sites and telling those builders and contractors exactly what to do and how to do it, let me tell you. But regardless of whether my mother and I were close, what I learned was that in her passing, an integral part of my being went with her. And nowhere did I express that more clearly than 2 months later, on Mother's Day, my first motherless Mother's Day. I wrote a column. It was in the Buffalo News, in my Heart and Soul columns in the Hamburg Sun, and it also became part of an anthology in a Heartwarmers book. I'd like to read that short essay today, in honor and remembrance of my mother, and also for all of you out there who have lost someone that you loved, that was part of your life, that challenged you, that helped you, but is now gone and leaves that empty space that no one else can fill. Just wanted to talk. Dear Mom, it's now 2 months since your passing. I survived your funeral, made it through my first motherless Mother's Day, and am slowly re-entering everyday life. But I need to tell you, Mom, it's not easy. I never thought of us as terribly close. We actually spent more time butting our Irish heads together than not. Affection was not part of our history either. The turn of your cheek as I kissed you comprised the sum of our physical interaction. But the one thing we could always do was talk. Especially from opposite ends of the spectrum, mind you. Nonetheless, we talked. I called you every day. Our routines rarely varied. I'd ask about your lunch. You'd review CNN News. We'd talk about your grandchildren. Occasionally, you'd mention neighborhood happenings. Then I'd wish you good night and say goodbye. For the last 15 years, that was our routine. But occasionally that pattern changed. I would guiltily miss a day. You would take the initiative and call me. If I wasn't home, you refused to leave a message. You'd just hang up, muttering, "Damn machine." Eventually, you accepted modern technology and spoke. Your standard message was, "You know who I am, you know my number, bye." It was always a toss-up, which I found more frustrating, your hang-ups or your messages. In the fall of 1995, you fell ill. Time and a careless lifestyle taking their revenge. You required hospitalization. Doctors predicted the worst. Not my mom, I thought. Little did they know about the strong-willed Irishwoman lying in their sterile bed. 3 years later, almost to the day, you again lost a skirmish against the vices battling for your body. Again, you traveled to the hospital. Again, the doctors predicted gloom and doom. Not my mom, I insisted. You don't know who you're dealing with. This time, however, I was wrong. The advancing diseases consuming your body and mind would no longer allow you an independent lifestyle. Health officials warned me against bringing you into my home. They felt you were too difficult a patient to handle. Again, I answered, not my mom. I decided living together would make up for the time we had missed while I was growing up and you were working full-time. So, on a rainy Thanksgiving Eve, I bundled you up and brought you into my home. 4 months later, 5 days before St. Patrick's Day, you died. You basically stopped eating and slowly wasted away. Nothing I could do or say made a difference. We argued all the time about your diet and nutrition. I even stooped to the "you know you're killing yourself" sermon. You calmly responded that you didn't have a death wish. You just weren't hungry. At the time, I didn't understand, but now I realize there is an intrinsic difference between a death wish and a will to live. Now you are gone, and I wish every day for the chance to call you, to talk about nothing, to argue about everything. Were I not your daughter, I think I would have judged you a truly remarkable woman. Unfortunately, the characteristics that made you strong as a woman and successful as a career person are the same traits that put us in opposition as mother and daughter. The perspective of your death allows me to see that now so clearly. It is also totally irrelevant. I just miss you and wanted to talk. Love, Christy. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to you joining me tomorrow.
Peace unto